I never thought I'd be writing something like this. 10 days out from my wedding, and instead of finalizing seating charts or breaking in my shoes, I'm mourning a friendship I thought would last forever. I guess that's why I'm here, pouring my heart out to strangers at 3 a.m. because I can't sleep and can't talk to the one person I always turned to when my life fell apart. Marissa and I have been best friends since we were 8 years old. We were inseparable. The kind of friendship where you finish each other's sentences and your parents practically adopt the other kid. We survived middle school drama, high school heartbreaks, college across different states, and somehow always found our way back to each other. She was supposed to be my maid of honor. The first person I'd hug after saying I do to Lucas, my fiancé of 2 years and partner of nearly a decade. Lucas. God, even typing his name makes my chest hurt because of everything that's happened. He and Marissa were never particularly close, but they got along fine for my sake. That is, until about 2 years ago. Marissa had been going through a rough patch. Job stress, dating woes, the works. One night after happy hour, she insisted she was fine to drive home despite having a few drinks. Lucas offered to call her an Uber, but she brushed him off. 3 hours later, I got a call from the emergency room. She'd sideswiped another car and hit a guardrail. Nobody was seriously hurt, but it could have been so much worse. Her BAC was just over the legal limit. Lucas was furious. Not just about the accident, but the risk she'd taken. She could have killed someone, Claire. She could have killed herself. He'd said that night in our kitchen, his voice tight with anger. I was caught in the middle, worried sick about my best friend, but also understanding my fiancé's reaction. Marissa got community service and a hefty fine, but the real punishment was how Lucas distanced himself after that. He was civil when they were in the same room, but no longer went out of his way to include her. No more inviting her to join us for dinner or texting her funny memes. It hurt to watch, but I understood both sides. For nearly 2 years, we existed in this uneasy triangle. I spent time with Marissa alone, then came home to Lucas. She'd occasionally make bitter remarks about him, calling him judgy or asking pointed questions like, "Does he still hold that night against me?" Or, "Why are you so determined to marry someone so cold?" I always defended him, but maybe I should have seen the resentment building, should have noticed how her eyes would narrow whenever his name came up, or how she'd change the subject when I talked about wedding plans. 2 weeks ago, we met for coffee like we always do on Saturdays. I was showing her photos of the bridesmaid dresses we were considering when she suddenly went quiet. She set down her latte and looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before, a mixture of determination and what I now recognize as calculation. "Claire, there's something I've been keeping from you and I can't do it anymore," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Lucas came to see me last month. He told me he's in love with me, that he's always had feelings for me, and he's only marrying you because he's comfortable and scared to start over." The cafe seemed to tilt sideways. I couldn't breathe, couldn't process what I was hearing. This man I'd loved since college, who'd proposed under the stars at the lake where we had our first date, who spent 6 months designing my engagement ring with my mother, had confessed love to my best friend? When? I finally managed to ask. Where did this happen? What exactly did he say? Her face hardened instantly. "Seriously? That's your response? I tell you your fiancé is in love with me, and your first instinct is to question me? To doubt me? I'm just trying to understand." "No," she cut me off, gathering her purse. "You're trying to find holes in my story because you don't want to believe it, because it's easier to think I'm lying than face the truth about Prince Charming. Marissa, please." But she was already standing, eyes bright with tears. "Call me when you're ready to believe your best friend of 20 years over a guy." And then she walked out, leaving me alone with a half-empty coffee cup and a shattered reality. I don't remember the drive home. Just that when I walked through our apartment door, Lucas took one look at my face and immediately came to me, concern etched in his features. "What happened? Are you okay?" The words caught in my throat. How do you ask someone if they've been living a lie? If everything you've built together was built on quicksand? But I had to know. "Did you go see Marissa last month?" The question hung between us, heavy and dangerous, his brow furrowed in genuine confusion. What? Why would I? Then realization dawned on his face. Wait, did she say I did? I told him everything. Watching his expression shift from confusion to hurt to disbelief was its own kind of agony. When I finished, he just stood there, stunned silent for a long moment. "Claire," he finally said, his voice steady but pained, "I swear to you on everything I love, on us, that never happened. I haven't seen Marissa alone in I can't even remember how long." "She seemed so certain," I whispered. Without hesitation, he pulled out his phone, unlocked it, and handed it to me. "Look through everything. Texts, calls, location history, emails, whatever you need to see. I have nothing to hide." I stared at the phone in my hand, the ultimate test of trust lying heavy in my palm. Part of me wanted to refuse, to say I believed him without checking, but another part, the part still reeling from Marissa's accusation, needed to know for certain. With shaking hands, I opened his messages. Nothing to Marissa since a group text about my birthday 6 months ago. I checked his call log, his emails, even his Instagram DMs. Nothing. "I would never do that to you," he said quietly as I handed the phone back. "Not just because I don't have feelings for Marissa, but because I love you more than anything in this world. You have to know that." I did know it. Despite the earthquake of doubt Marissa had tried to create, looking into Lucas's eyes, I knew the truth, which left an even more painful question. Why would my oldest friend lie about something so destructive? The next day, I started reaching out to our mutual friends, trying to make sense of what was happening. Our circle split almost immediately. A couple friends, mostly ones who were closer to Marissa, said she wouldn't make something like this up. But most were skeptical, especially when they learned she'd refused to provide any details and had blown up at simple questions. "It just doesn't add up," my college roommate Jen said when I called her. "Lucas has barely spoken to Marissa in the past 2 years. When would this secret rendezvous even have happened? And why is she so angry that you asked for basic information? If my best friend's fiancé confessed love to me, I'd have receipts. Times, places, exact quotes. Everything she would need to make an informed decision." Desperate for perspective, I turned to Reddit. I poured everything into a post on r/relationships, my hands trembling as I typed. The responses came flooding in, and they were overwhelmingly unified. Marissa was lying. They pointed to the red flags, the convenient lack of evidence, her explosive reaction to reasonable questions, Lucas's transparency, and the timing so close to the wedding. One comment in particular stopped me cold. "I've been in your fiancé's shoes," a user wrote. "My wife's childhood best friend tried to sabotage our wedding by claiming I'd made a pass at her. The truth? She couldn't stand losing her emotional soulmate to marriage. Some people can't bear to watch someone they consider theirs fully commit to another person. They'd rather burn everything down than accept the new reality." Reading those words was like having ice water dumped over my head. Suddenly, I could see the past 2 years through a different lens. Marissa's constant questioning of my relationship, her bitter remarks about Lucas after the accident, the way she'd roll her eyes when I talked about wedding plans. What I'd interpreted as concern for my happiness might have been something much darker. I tried calling Marissa again, but she sent me straight to voicemail. Then a text. "I'm not talking to you until you're ready to believe me without proof." That's what best friends do. That message was the final piece of the puzzle, because true friendship, real love of any kind, doesn't demand blind faith. It welcomes questions. It understands doubt. It recognizes that trust is strengthened through honesty, not ultimatums. I apologized to Lucas that night, for the doubt, for the pain, for not shutting down Marissa's accusation immediately. He held me while I cried, and we talked until sunrise about trust and betrayal and the people we let into our lives. The next day, I created a group chat with our 6 closest friends, deliberately excluding Marissa. I shared everything, including screenshots of the Reddit post and comments. I wasn't trying to create drama or turn people against her. I just needed clarity, support. A reality check from the people who knew us best. That's when Tara, who had remained friends with Marissa despite the distance that had grown between us all, sent me something that made my blood run cold. Screenshots from her conversations with Marissa over the past few months. Messages where Marissa complained that Lucas was destroying our friendship, where she referred to her bridesmaid dress as a funeral gown for our friendship, where she vented that I was choosing him over everyone else and wouldn't even see it coming when he eventually betrayed me. There it was, the premeditation, the slow poisoning of the well, the calculated destruction of trust. I agreed to meet Marissa one last time at the park where we used to hang out as kids. I needed to look her in the eye when I asked why, needed to give her one final chance to come clean. She was already sitting on our favorite bench when I arrived, looking smaller somehow, defensive. I sat beside her, leaving more space between us than I ever had before. "I've been thinking about what you told me," I began carefully. "About Lucas." Hope flickered across her face. "So you believe me?" "I want to understand exactly what happened," I said. "When did he come see you? Where were you? What did he say exactly?" Her expression hardened instantly. "This again? I already told you I'm not playing this game. Either you trust me or you don't." "It's not a game, Marissa. These are basic questions anyone would ask about a serious allegation. He came to my apartment, okay, last month, said he needed to talk. Then he just said it. That he's always had feelings for me, that he feels trapped." "Which day? Was it a weekend? Evening? Morning?" Her eyes flashed. "Why does that matter?" "Because Lucas was in Seattle with his brother for 4 days last month. The rest of the time, he was either at work or with me." "Well, obviously it was when he was supposed to be in Seattle," she snapped. But I could see the calculation behind her eyes, the scramble to adjust the lie. "His brother posted pictures of them together every day," I said quietly. "They went hiking, had dinner with their parents, attended his nephew's school play." "Then it must have been the month before," she said, but her voice had lost its conviction. "I've seen the messages, Marissa," I said softly. "Not between you and Lucas. Those don't exist. I've seen your texts with Tara, about how my marriage will kill our friendship, about how you felt replaced ever since Lucas and I got serious." The color drained from her face. For a moment, I thought she might finally break, might apologize or explain or show some remorse. Instead, her eyes hardened into something cold and unfamiliar. "You know he's a liar," she whispered, each word like a shard of glass. And then she walked away, taking 20 years of friendship with her. I sat on that bench for a long time after she left, watching families play and couples stroll and dogs chase frisbees, wondering how someone who knew every secret, every fear, every dream I'd ever had could try to destroy the biggest love of my life, wondering if she'd always been capable of this, or if something had broken inside her along the way. When I finally stood to leave, I felt lighter somehow. Heartbroken, yes, but clear-eyed. Lucas was waiting at home with takeout from my favorite restaurant and a shoulder to cry on. We talked about Marissa, about friendship, about trust, about the wedding that would now have one less bridesmaid, but somehow felt more sacred than ever. "I'm sorry you lost her," he said, holding my hand across our kitchen table. "I think I lost her a long time ago," I replied. "I just didn't want to see it." 10 days till our wedding, and instead of the crisis destroying us, it's made us stronger, more honest, more grateful for what we have, and more careful about who we let into our inner circle. I still miss the Marissa I thought I knew, the girl who held my hand on the first day of 3rd grade, who helped me through my parents' divorce, who knew the lyrics to every 90s pop song and could always make me laugh until I cried. But that girl is gone now, or maybe she never really existed at all. Edit. Thank you all for the supportive comments. The wedding was yesterday, and it was perfect. No drama, no last-minute sabotage attempts. Yes, I was worried about that. Just love and celebration with people who genuinely want us to be happy. Lucas and I are leaving for our honeymoon tomorrow, 2 weeks in Greece, with our phones mostly off and our hearts fully open to this new chapter. I've blocked Marissa on everything, and while I still have moments of sadness about how it all ended, I'm at peace with my decision. Some friendships aren't meant to last forever, and that's okay. The ones that do are worth their weight in gold.